let us all do we can to build a better future.
I am hopping mad, and when I tell you guys that I'm hopping mad, you know what that means. So I get up this morning, and I'm doing my usual social media rounds, and I click on my Facebook app, and I received a very, shall we say, instructive pop-up. And the hot pop-up was kind enough to inform me that maybe some of my friends are getting involved with violent extremism. Here it is. My friends are at risk of becoming extremists, and how I can help and what I can do. And oh my gosh, I need to get support because my friends are becoming extremists. So I was, decidedly bewildered. Clicked on the button, and actually the information was not bad. From among other things, the information suggested that you not form a Twitter cancel mob and call people names, but instead have conversations, gave references to some anti-right-wing extremism groups that can help getting people out of violent extremism. But I got to tell you, it was a bit weird to get that message, and I was very creepy. Because what are you telling me? Are you saying, are you monitoring my friends? Are you monitoring me? And what kind of ideas are you putting in my head? Do I need to start checking the politics of all my friends? And then we found out later in the day that other people were getting their own little pop-up messages. Some said the same thing as mine. Others were saying things like, we realize that you have seen some extremist content lately, and this may be upsetting. Here's how you can get support.
I do love that Facebook's like, hey, the content that we provide, that we curate on the platform that we own, we sort of screwed up, and you want to work for us for free, like a volunteer, to fix it in a way that you actually can't control?
The funny thing is, as I put up a question on my Facebook profile and asked folks about it, and finding people who are very right-wing and people who are very left-wing, all coming in and saying pretty much the same thing. That's incredibly creepy. And some people got the message, some people did not. They're all saying it's incredibly creepy. Are we at the point now where our overlords are going to be telling us to inform on each other? And by the way, that was from an ultra woke leftist. It was just people were really taken aback by this. And of course, again, it makes me wonder, what lists am I on? Am I being targeted? It's just incredibly creepy. All over Twitter today, the post-millennial, which is it leans right-wing, libertarian, anti-woke, but they've got some good stuff on there. They've got a whole situation, a whole article explaining what's going on. It's all over Twitter today, but I am hopping mad. This is weird. This is creepy. And Facebook, I will manage my own relationships with other people. Thank you very much.
I really hate it when, you hear this weird kind of narrative that's being shared on social media. Oh, you can't be friends with this person. Oh, you can't talk to this person. Oh, how can you like this tweet? Oh, how can you do this? How can you do that? Look, we are all free individuals. We all have our own personal thoughts and beliefs. We all have our own points of view and perspectives. But I don't want some big tech or government agency or any other individual telling me what I can and cannot do, who I can hang out with, who I cannot hang out with. Now, look, when Heartland's Media was starting off, we had people tell us, oh, you shouldn't interview this person. Don't interview libertarians. Don't interview socialists. Don't interview this. I'll do what I want on my show, and I'll invite whoever I want on this show whenever I can, when I can. It's my job to do that. I mean, that's what I'm supposed to do, interview cool guests, great people, podcasters, YouTubers, community activists, organizers, politicians. That's what you're supposed to do. And I don't like the fact that big tech now is saying, well, I think you've been exposed to some controversial friends. If they're my friends, that means I love them and I like them and they're going to remain my friends. And I don't want Facebook, an outlet that's supposed to be like, meet new friends, telling me what I can do. And I want to quote Ware Pilgrim right here because I think he has the best comment out of everyone right now. Next, the FBI will veto who you get to invite to your next birthday party. Again, stupid.
So can we pull up that article that we just showed a couple seconds ago? Okay, I just want to, before we do anything else, make my commentary. I just want to give a shout-out for finding the most alive-looking picture of Mark Zuckerberg I think I've ever seen. That's all I wanted to say on that part. So
he looks like he's actually breathing.
Yeah, it's like, oh, He might be alive.
Daniel,
Yeah.
you know what? I have to disagree. Come on, stop being nice to Mark Zuckerberg. He doesn't deserve anything.
Who said I was being nice to Mark Zuckerberg? That was an undercount. That was an under. Anyway, I think one thing that's really fun. I always love the hypocrisy on these things. So I love that, and you pointed out, Lainey, that the point that it seemed they're trying to make when you get into this is, hey, you shouldn't be judging people and generalizing them based on their viewpoints, and we shouldn't have cancel mobs. And that was, it's really funny that in order to put that message out, they're insinuating that they're canceling people to tell people to not cancel people, which is, I don't know. That's not cancelception. It's something like very uniquely different. This is.
I feel targeted.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels I feel targeted. And the interesting, I put an article also in here in the show notes by an independent journalist who was talking about the recent Glenn Greenwald kerfuffle, who has now found himself along with Angela Nagel and Michael Tracy and Jimmy Dore and whatnot being accused of being, a right winger, a covert right winger, a crypto fash, sometimes even a Nazi.
It's amazing how everyone that these people disagrees with has these really reprehensible statuses that they disagree. It's crazy.
And he points out, that how people were saying, well, how dare Glenn Greenwald go on Tucker Carlson? Now, make no mistake, I regard Tucker Carlson as, borrowing a phrase from a friend of mine, a preening scoundrel. But and I would, but he's got a platform, and somebody like Glenn Greenwald or Jimmy Dore or Tulsi Gabbard, they have their own platforms. They have their own level of fame. They have their own ability to connect with Tucker Carlson's audience. Doesn't make them Nazis. Doesn't make them covert right wingers. And the tendency among certain individuals, certainly not all, but certain individuals on the left these days, and I've seen this also on the right. Don't get me wrong, to say that this person is not one of us because they have a difference of opinion on a couple of issues or because they choose to hang out with people we don't like, that is authoritarian. And we're now getting into the notion of thought control. We have to move lockstep into one position if we are going to be allowed to have our own public platforms. Other than that, if you don't do that, we're going to try and shut you down, either literally by trying to remove your platform or by classifying you as crypto fash or covert right winger. And this is incredibly disturbing. Last year I ended up eventually blocking somebody on Facebook. Hated the person anyways, but this was kind of the nudge because they didn't like one of my friends who had rather publicly taken some pretty extreme positions. And I received what was obviously a cut and paste message, obviously being sent out to everybody. Just thought you'd like to know that this person you're friends with is this, 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 and this. It was mildly threatening because obviously what we know is that the cancel mobs will sometimes go after people who have done nothing more than be friends with somebody. And it was just really creepy. It was really offensive. And this person had no notion of my long-term relationship with the person who this cancel mob didn't like. And for me, all it managed to do was unsettle me and make me very angry. And I cut those folks off. So I'm pointing this out at this point. I don't like the fact that Facebook is itself doing this sort of thing. Oh, by the way, we just noticed. Yeah, we've noticed too, Facebook.
If I can add one more thing here too, and this is for Hardlands Media. We've gotten a lot of pushback from a lot of people saying, well, how can you be associative or how can you have these certain individuals on your show? I want to be very clear. The whole idea of being friends with people is, okay, you're not always going to agree on every point of view, but they're your friends, or either that or they helped you out when you needed it. When we were starting off, Jimmy Dore helped us out. He showed up on our show when we were on radio. Convo Couch, Fiorella, Isabel, and Craig Jurlison. Jardilla, sorry, I got his name wrong. Don't cancel me, Craig.
Isn't his name Craig Deep Dish?
Yeah, Craig Deep Dish. There you go.
Right.
Convo Couch, they helped us out. Nico House, Lee Camp, Graham Elwood, They were there with us. They helped us out. They gave us advice here and there. And they also showed up on our show when we were just even getting started on YouTube.
Yeah.
So the thing is, the whole idea of Facebook now dictating who you can be with, it's very similar to this cancel culture that we're seeing on all social media. And it's got to stop. I'm tired of this thought control. That's right. I saw the Pink Floyd references in the live stream chat, folks. But it's got to end. Because when this kind of stuff continues on, it's only going to get worse, and it needs to be called out. So Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, Lizard Man, we see you, buddy.
And I just want to kind of add on to what Kit said very quickly before we move on, and that is, there's a lot of people like exactly what Kit said that'll come out to us and go, hey, you guys are friends with insert person or group that they don't agree with fully 100% here. And either you're guilty by association. We've already talked about my views on and definitions of extremism before, which, there you go, moral superiority, checkbox. But I don't like you because you're doing this. You should be more like insert their favorite show here. We agree and understand on everything. Well, I'm going to say this. To the people that make that specific final comment that, hey, I don't like what you're doing, but I watch, TYT, they agree with everything. If you're agreeing with everything that a news source or your favorite place to watch says, I would argue you're not agreeing with everything on them. You're just parroting everything they say because no one agrees on everything. We all have differences, and every single person that we either like or we try to almost eliminate friendship from this. We defended Tucker Carlson the other day for a principled reason that we defend everyone else on, because whenever it happens to anyone, whether we agree with them or not, we're going to defend free speech when we see it, because we think that's a bit of a consistency that we like to maintain. But again, if you know someone who makes the point that you should be like the show that they watch that agrees everything, just remind them they probably don't have points of their own when it really comes down to it.
Yeah, I could say that I know somebody who was a victim of a major so-called cancellation a long time ago. That individual lost everything, became homeless for a time, and is now working a very basic retail job. A couple of years back, people found out that this individual was working this retail job and started a campaign to get him fired from his retail job as a cashier and stocker in a grocery store. The thing is that even if you really don't like what a person does or thinks, or how they act, you might find their philosophies and ideas actually absolutely abhorrent. The fact is they still exist, and the more you marginalize them, even if they are very wicked people, and the more you marginalize them, the fewer resources they have. They may find themselves going deeper into so-called extremism, but they're also eventually going to become a charge on the state.
Yeah.
Eventually, you're going to end up taking care of them one way or another, whether it is through charitable contributions and public aid programs, or by eventually them ending up in the prison system, which you really don't want to do. So it's really disturbing to me that people cannot accept the fact that there are people who disagree with you, people who hold opinions that are absolutely abhorrent, and they still exist. And frankly, if you cannot accept that those people are still on this planet, you need to get a hobby. Don't get a dog. Don't inflict your issues on that poor animal. Get a hobby. Stamp collecting. Something like that. Find a way to redirect your energies. This is extremely disturbing. And as I said, we've noticed Facebook.
Yeah.